What is up, gang? Uncle Travis coming to you from somewhere in Tennessee I didn't even know existed, which is Granville, Tennessee. It's an awesome little town, about 30 minutes east of Nashville, and then 30 minutes and some change up into the hills. And as you can tell, we're on the top of a mountain. This is one of the coolest properties I've been to in a long time. Probably you're asking yourself, how often does this homeowner leave? She told me she leaves about every 6 weeks. She goes to Cookville, stocks up and comes back, shuts the gate to the driveway and just hangs out up here with her dog Marigold. And I can't blame her. So she spends a lot of time outside, and originally she had us do this 25-foot Pondless that's behind me. We're going to talk about that in a minute. But we noticed when we were here working, we were hanging out during lunch underneath this, where I'm from, it's called a shelter house. Here in Tennessee, it's called a pavilion. It's just a covered outdoor sitting area with a pergola on it. But she had no patio inside there, and she couldn't find anyone here locally to do the patio. She already had the banding that you can see around behind me there. So we ran some numbers and got with John at the rock place and got a quick delivery. And we went ahead and put one of our patios in for her here that you can see. She was anticipating doing this patio project at some point anyway. So she was a couple steps ahead of us, and the area was generally leveled out, so we didn't have to really do any excavation. In fact, she asked that we raise it up. So I did a little bit of just grading and stuff in here to get there was a couple little lumpy areas. Got those relatively flat, tamped them down with the machine. We put some geo down to keep the gravel from settling into the turf. Put this pea gravel down as our base, tamped it, leveled it, and brought in this, this model or whatever of stone is called Crab Orchard. Got a delivery of that, brought it in, and spent the last couple days setting these rocks in here. She rinsed it off, and it's ready to enjoy a nice adult beverage and check out the water feature. So pretty simple. These 3-man boulders, or what we call machine sets sometimes, the homeowner asked us to put a little retaining wall in for her because this whole area, kind of where we've been hanging out the last week or so, was just Bermuda grass, and she doesn't want Bermuda grass. She wants a planted area, a little garden, a little fun outdoor area, but she wants to put a clean delineation between, you know, turf and woodland area out here and where she's hanging out and all that. So we brought these big guys in, leveled them up a little bit, packed them in, set them, off to the races. So this basin is a little more pebbly down here than normal. I'll talk about this last weir in a second, but driving out here, there is so much to see between the interstate and here. You pass, it's the Cumberland River, but I believe it's the Cordell Hull Lake. There's a lot of like just natural limestone rock formations. And I wanted this water feature to kind of mirror just how the water had eroded around those rocks in the hillsides on the way out here. But most importantly to me, homeowner's dog Marigold, she's an adventurous sort, and she wanted her to be able to get into the basin in the summer, and just so she can get in and out a little easier. I made it look as though this had just washed out over centuries and left a little gravel bed here, but it's also like just a nice easy ramp to get in and out of if you're a dog or a human, which I'll show you now. There you go, check that out. So this weir right here, that rhyme is free, I wanted it to also kind of mirror that stone stair step limestone that you see on the way out here. So we just had some nice squarish flat rocks. We just stacked up a nice big flat weir back there, put those guys right here, and then I cut just a little serpentine, put a couple flat ones here, little driftwood, little serpentine cut through right there. I think it really mimics the natural look that we saw on the way out here. At least I do. Normally, some driftwood like this would be one heck of an upgrade, but I knew we'd find something interesting out in the woods, so Matt and I took a little walk the other day. We found this really cool stump and this other really cool stump, and to be honest, I got a little greedy and put them both in here. This would be, normally we would consider this excessive, but we put this one in and it looked great. I put a native wood fern in here. Matt and I thought, why not go for broke and take this guy and turn it upside down, because it had all those cool, just those horn features. Put it in upside down right next to this guy as though maybe it was like some sort of taproot that had come up in the creek or something. We got a little creative, and I think it came together really well. It's normally we wouldn't, like I said, we wouldn't do this much. It could almost look overdone, but I think this looks natural and great. I'm really proud of myself with this one. Looks awesome. So the natural grade of the property here, it's probably 1.5 to 2 foot grade change from right here just behind me to right down there where the patio is, but it's decently subtle. And when we did all the excavation and got everything flat, it's still from left to right on the stream kind of pitched downwards. So that side needed to be brought up higher so we can keep our water contained. Normally we would put weir stones in here, put a dance floor in, shelves and all that. We didn't have to here. The natural downslope of the grade helped us with that. So literally just taking a rectangular rock like this, just placing it in there, backs the water up enough that it, again, gives it that natural look, and it makes the water cut out a little further and just gives the whole stream this really awesome serpentine feel going downstream. Montana and Matt did an awesome job on this stream. So one last thing, it's something we do whenever we can, but sometimes it's a little harder than others, is we turn our headwaters, our spillway, or even our biofalls sometimes, we'll turn it at a 90-degree angle of where the stream is usually coming out. A lot of times you'll just see our headwaters would be right here, shooting straight at you there in your POV. But Montana took this one, turned it 90 degrees, and that makes it so much easier to hide from the viewing area, because we're able to just cover the side with this other piece of driftwood that we actually cut off the big horny guy down there. It's the fun little way to have the headwaters be just a little different looking, a little more dramatic, I guess, if you will, but it allows us to hide it a little bit easier. She didn't want a ton of lights on this because, now we've not been out here terribly late, but I don't know if you can hear, but it is definitely quiet out here without this water feature going. Which for us city folks is awesome. She said about 10 o'clock at night is when it finally gets dark out here, but she didn't want to sit out here and have a whole bunch of lights going. She wanted just some subtle lighting. So we've got a light underneath the first stump down there. There's a light just across the stream from where you're standing, and then there's one just here to light up the headwaters. Otherwise, this thing is not terribly lit, because she wants to be able to sit out here, check out this view, hear the water feature, and just kind of see some subtle night lighting. And I really couldn't agree more. It's been a fun project, and I'd like you to meet one last person here in a second before we go. But that kind of does it for us. Hey, this is Marigold. She's a sweet puppy. She loves peoples. She's been keeping us company all week. And that's the reason we did the basin, so she could get in and kind of cool off, because she, according to the homeowner, there's I think 75 acres out here, and it goes from ridge to ridge, and she kind of runs and explores and just kind of patrols and owns the area. I love my dogs, but she's 10 times sweeter than any of my 3 dogs. She hasn't eaten any of my belts. So there you have it, gang. Almost a one of everything. We've got a patio, we've got a retaining wall, we've got a water feature with some lighting. She did not want us to finalize this with mulch. She is a bit of a DIY type person, and we love those. She's gonna do some landscaping while we're gone, like we're coming back anytime soon. But we'll be back in the spring to clean this up, and it should be a little different looking by then. In the meantime, what you can do is like, follow, share, subscribe. Tell us where you want your retaining wall, patio, or 25-foot pondless in your backyard. In the meantime, Uncle Trav, and I'll see you next time. Cheers.